Hey guys, the 2024 Arnold Classic is underway, and here I have for you an HD comparison of Samson Dauda and Hadi Choopan, courtesy of the Arnold Classic photography team. These two eventually would get their own call out, and the judges made them pose for multiple rounds, so they clearly have them as the frontrunners of the show. I want to see just how close it is between the defending champ and the 2022 Mr. Olympia to see who is potentially going to win. Now, before the video does start, a like and sub would be much appreciated as it helps out the channel. With that all being said though, let's get into this video. The first pose, the front double, presents two completely different physiques. On one hand, you have Hadi, who is a small bundle of compact, shredded muscle, while on the other hand, you have Samson, who is large and imposing, but lacks the polished separation and thin skin. Hadi looks to have freakier arm development, having comparable size on a smaller frame, and having peakier, more separated biceps. Samson has the more impressive silhouette in my opinion, as his arms and quads are larger and his V-taper is great. However, he doesn't necessarily look to be relatively bigger from a muscularity standpoint. Sure, he might outmuscle Hadi by 50 pounds, however, Hadi looks dense, conditioned, and ready to win. The only flaw Hadi has, if it even is a flaw at that point, are his quads, which still present a pretty small imbalance. However, his conditioning and density would be enough to win in my opinion. The front lat spread is a great shot for both guys. However, in person, Samson was heavily breathing out of his stomach, marring his midsection flow, while Hadi kept his abs clear and defined. While Samson does look much bigger in terms of frame, Hadi is just as wide on a smaller frame, which makes him look more impressive. Moreover, Hadi's lats look twice as big, while Samson's high lats are almost an afterthought in the pose. Both have tremendous quads, showcasing phenomenal separation and sweep, and their calves are both pretty good, but I would give an advantage to Samson. When seeing these guys hit the pose in person, the conditioning disparity was so great between the two, as Hadi had such thin skin across his upper body, almost reminiscent of a grainy granite look. While this pose is close, I'd go with Hadi as he's just as wide, has better lats, and really only loses in terms of height. The side chest was a pose where I thought Samson would dominate, considering his pictures leading up into the show were absolutely mind-blowing. However, here he really only has Hadi beat in the chest and side leg. Hadi looks more conditioned across the far pec, has a similar sized arm and more separation in it as well, and his side leg showcases thinner skin and more intricate detail. Hadi looks so polished and refined, and although he isn't nearly as big from the side, he compensates big time by having that dry, super conditioned muscle. If Samson was a bit drier, I'd definitely be inclined to give him the win. However, my eyes are constantly drawn to Hadi for those details. Still, I could see the judges rewarding Samson for his more pleasing aesthetics and size. However, I would go with Hadi here. The rear double is a shot that I was definitely eager to see the comparison of, as Hadi and Samson were both focusing hard to bring up their backsides. Hadi looked great, as expected, right, as he always has a solid rear double. His delts and arms looked peeled and conditioned, and his back was dense and dry, and his hamstrings and glutes were better than at the 2023 Olympia. Samson looked pretty impressive at first glance, as his back was similar in size to Hadi's. His delts and arms showcased similar solid conditioning, and his hamstrings were ripped. However, he lacked glute feathering. Nothing on Samson really screamed 50 pounds bigger than Hadi, as Hadi kept up in relative size and presented an additional layer of conditioning that Samson just couldn't beat. Hadi would certainly take this pose, as I see no way of Samson winning with this specific package. The Christmas tree pose is really exposing of these two, as it shows the disparity in conditioning. Whether it be the diet problems or thin skin, Samson's glutes, hamstrings, and back did not showcase the same detail as Hadi's. Although Hadi isn't at 100%, in terms of diced and conditioning from the back, he still has feathering in the lats, strided glutes, and peeled water-free hamstrings. The rear lat spread is a similar story to the rear double. However, I think this is even more of a dominant pose for Hadi. His back looks even wider than Samson's now, as his lats flare out ridiculously wide and insert lower down, creating an all-around superior back. Samson looks good, showcasing decent depth to the traps and solid lower body development and lower back development. However, he needs more width to be competitive. The lower body is a similar story, like I said, as his hamstrings and calves look alright. However, his glutes lack any real separation, and he has thick skin almost everywhere, which really covers up any fine detail. The side tricep might just be the pose where Samson can come back, as his thickness and size advantage is pretty evident in this pose. His thick chest, huge tricep, and solid bicep all look great, and his side leg does dwarf Hadi's. While he might not be as conditioned, I prefer his posing execution and his overall silhouette, as he looks a lot more pleasing to the eye. That being said, Hadi's far pec is strided to a T, his midsection is razor sharp, and almost everything looks perfect as well. Definitely not an easy win for Samson, but since I'm feeling sorry for him, I'd give him the win. Hadi does look great as well, however, he's not winning in the arm, and he does lose some ground in terms of size. Still, let me know down below, who do you have taking this shot? The ab and thigh is just a slam dunk victory for Hadi, as I've truly never seen a more defined and rock solid midsection in my life. Abs are on point, serratus is really just insane, and his midsection is super small and not spilling over whatsoever. In contrast, Samson looks watery in the lower abdominals, showcases lackluster development and separation, and his midsection isn't as tight. He does have feathered quads, however his V-taper isn't as impressive as Hadi's, nor are his quads nearly as dry or separated. Like I said, this is an easy win for Hadi, since nobody up on that stage, or really in the entire open lineup of today, could take him down. The most muscular is again a take-home pose for Hadi. Look at his chest, delts, and arms. The refinement and extreme detail that he has is a little too overwhelming for Samson. Sure, Samson does have a massive chest, huge arms, and great delts. However, his conditioning really looks pretty average. He sacrificed conditioning for fullness, which really isn't a good idea considering his competition is considered to be one of the most conditioned guys out there. While Hadi isn't as big, almost every body part looks more polished, detailed, and perfected, and you really can't find a single flaw apart from his height. However, even that might not be a problem. Alright guys, that about does it for this video. I think Hadi definitely will take this one and deserves his first Arnold Classic win, as he is far superior in conditioning while presenting similar mass, if not better mass, in certain shots. Samson really needs to dial it in for finals if he wants to make a better showing of himself. However, I don't think he's going to win unless politics change things around. Like I said, and like I always say, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.